Welcome into Fantasy Football Night in America. This is the Better Sports Network, and we are broadcasting the FFPC Insider Access show live for the next 2 hours. Remember to follow the Better Sports Network on X at Better Network. You can follow me, Eric Balkman, your host, on X as well, at Eric Balkman. Of course, the FFPC is on X at, you guessed it, FFPC. Pleased to welcome in my co-host for this evening. You know him, you love him. He is being welcomed back onto these here airwaves for the second time. You follow him on X and connect with him there at PeakedInHS_FF from Draft Sharks at Draft Sharks on the X as well. It is Alex Korff. Alex, good evening and welcome back to the show.
It's good to be back. Is it really only two? I swear it's been more.
Maybe it's been more. I've lost track over the years. So you are probably dialed in. We get into this joke every time. You clearly did not peak in high school, which I think is hilarious that you have that as your X account, because you just proved that your math is way better than mine. You're still on the upswing. Or maybe I peaked in high school. I don't know what the proper way to look at it is.
I think a little bit of us all peaked in high school. That's how I
It was, my son is playing tackle football for the first time this late summer. He's got his season coming up in fall, and he's 11. He's not a big guy. And so his shoulder pads are not big as well. And he brought his shoulder pads home yesterday. And I'm like, I have not put on a pair of shoulder pads since I took them off for the final time when I was 17 years old playing as a high school senior. Right. And I'm like, I never thought I'd do this again. Let's put them on again. And it was a bit of a tight squeeze. So at that point of me, my athletic football career definitely peaked in high school. We have so much more to get to on the show tonight that will end the conversation about my high school football career. Probably. I might bring something else up. You never know. Exactly. The FFPC Big Gorilla Tournament is live at myffpc.com. $1 million grand prize. You're going to get a $50 discount for every third team you register for there. 7 Bananas promo is live too as well. So make sure you're checking that out. If you want to win a free jungle safari for 4, just keep getting that 7 pick multiple times in a row. We'll keep giving you free teams as well. But if you hit that 5 times in a row, 50 grand or a jungle safari for 4 will be yours. FFPC main event also filling up faster than last year. $1 million grand prize there as well. Live drafts every single day, all the way to the start of the NFL season. The FFPC Best Ball and Superflex Best Ball Tournament, $300,000 and $100,000 grand prizes respectively. $100K runner-up for the Best Ball Tournament second place finisher. 30-second, 60-second, 2-hour, and 6-hour clocks there. And, of course, Dynasty startups. 15-plus years, 2,000-plus teams, or 2,000-plus leagues, none have ever folded. So when you play Dynasty with the FFPC, you are in it for as long as you want to be in it. Shout out to our producer, Matt Deutsch, who is pushing all the right buttons tonight. I will lead off, Alex, although there might be some stuff I want to get to that I didn't put on the rundown. I want to talk about James Cook here to lead things off, to kind of gauge how you're sort of treating this in your drafts right now. The hold in continued yesterday. Now I'm trying to find the latest on this. I don't know if he practiced today. I thought Sean McDermott said this morning that he expected James Cook to practice today, but I don't know if he did. Matt can maybe look that up. I cannot right now, but I want to bring this up here. He reported because he said he liked money and he didn't want to get fined, so he reported. Was practicing, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. Today would have been the 4th straight missed practice for James Cook, and obviously the contract thing is still undecided between his people, his representation, and the Buffalo Bills. This is a backfield that also features Ray Davis, who I know a lot of high-stakes players are high on this year, even if James Cook was practicing. We also have Ty Johnson, who is a guy that is taking a lot of third down touches away from these guys as well. As we keep going forward here, and I know it's in early August, and these things have a way of sorting themselves out, he has fallen to running back 16 in the Big Gorilla right now. That is the 404, Alex. Your thoughts on whether you would soak a 404 pick into James Cook right now in the Big Gorilla Tournament, knowing that you could, if you skip him there, you could get guys like Alvin Kamara, Chuba Hubbard, Trevion Henderson later.
Oh, I think James Cook is the easiest skip at running back 16 right now for me personally. I mean, what was it? Is it Jonathan Taylor last year or the year before in a very similar situation where he was holding in to try and get that contract? And even when it did work, he was still off to a very slow start. And I anticipate that it's almost like it's really hard to play NFL football. And if you aren't practicing and you aren't preparing your body for that, like there's going to be that break-in period, even if everything goes right. And then that's not even like baking in the upside or the downside of like, what if he continues his hold in? I am not interested in him at RB16. I would take Kamara. I would take, I forget who else you said, but definitely Kamara over.
Travion Henderson was one, and Chuba Hubbard was the other.
In a PPR that gets less. I'm less interested in Hubbard. I think Kamara is probably the only one that I would. So maybe I'm not crazy out, but like maybe late 4th, early 5th for Cook. But Ray Davis everywhere, right? Like that's probably going to be my most rostered player because we've been. Jared at Draft.X was super high on Ray Davis before all of this because we kind of like him. We think he honestly could be a starter in the league on a lot of other teams. But James Cook is very good too, is the problem.
Ray Davis is running back 44 right now in the fantasy FFPC Big Gorilla. 1101 is where he's going. It's wild because he has risen up to running back 44. Quinshon Judkins has fallen to running back 43. This is why I always encourage people to draft at all times of the year because the ADP shifts so much. It's like a new drafting experience every single time. The fact that these guys are right next to each other is crazy town banana pants. You guys are Alex, I should ask you this. I don't even know. Are you guys all like Rochester, New York, the Draft.Sharks guys?
So they used to be, and Jared and Matt and all of those guys live there. Shane lives in Pittsburgh, and I'm down in North Carolina.
Got it. So okay.
So
do you feel like Matt, and I know Matt's correct me if I'm wrong. Matt's an Eagles guy, and Jared, I want to say is a Dolphins guy.
Yeah, weirdly, I think.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
But they're dialed into this Bills situation. I mean, they're dialed into everything. You guys are dialed into everything, obviously, with Draft.Sharks. But Ray Davis, that's interesting that Jared was on him well before this James Cook thing. And the other aspect to bring up about this is like we haven't even mentioned the fact that this dude is due for some serious touchdown regression this season as well. So there's a lot of reasons not to like James Cook right now. I'm actually surprised he is still going that high in FFPC drafts right now. This is a player that, like, you know, ever since he stopped practicing, ADP has fallen a little bit, but not that much, which is wild. And our FFPC players slower to react to that? I don't know. There's a non-zero chance of that. But this is something we're going to continue to watch going forward until James Cook and the Bills are at least on the same page as far as his contract goes. Now,
I think some of that though is also how ADP is calculated. So like if you see ADP, it's harder to bring it down or up once it's established too, because people tend to click that average draft position because they see it in their queues early. So like that we maybe are seeing some lag from that now that more volume is probably increasing. We'll probably see more movement as well.
And I want to make this, that's an excellent point that you bring up. And I want to make this clear too, to everybody watching that oh, by the way, Matt Deutsch said James Cook did not practice Thursday. And the injury to Rashawn Slater today, which we'll get to in a second, that's probably not helping players want to practice either, as well, as it looks like it's a torn patella tendon for him. So great points, Matt. Great point, Alex. The point I wanted to make is the ADP I'm citing tonight, courtesy of FantasyMojo.com. Darren Armani is the guy who runs that website. If you play in the FFPC, the two subscriptions you want to get, one Draft.Sharks and two Fantasy Mojo, invaluable when it comes to winning $1 million this year in the FFPC. For sure. Now, I don't know how we're going to find out how you think about these early training camp depth charts, Alex, right now. Adam Schefter reported this yesterday. RJ Harvey is listed as not the third, not the fourth, but the fifth string running back on the first unofficial depth chart for the Denver Broncos. Now, Sean Payton has a history of doing this where he just intentionally puts rookies low on the depth chart each and every year. So I think this is something that we don't want to put too much stock into it. But I want to not only gauge your reaction to that, but gauge sort of how you're treating RJ Harvey, not only since Denver drafted him in the second round, but since they've added J.K. Dobbins, who was being drafted as running back 33 at the 901. Harvey and the distance between Harvey and Dobbins probably is as close as it's ever been. Harvey's still going first at running back 20 at the 508. So 13 running backs separate these guys right now. One's being drafted as a low end running back 2. The other's being drafted as a low end running back 3. Your thoughts on Harvey, the depth chart, and let's throw J.K. Dobbins into this conversation as well, Alex.
Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable price for RJ Harvey right now. And if he drops any at all because of this news, that's great. I really like J.K. Dobbins. I've always had a soft spot for him, probably to my own detriment. Like, I'm not saying that this is even a good process or good choice, but I have a lot of J.K. Dobbins already. I'm not even a little bit worried about the depth chart being on the fifth string. I remember he did it to Alvin Kamara his rookie year when they had Adrian Peterson on the team, Mark Ingram, and then someone else. I don't remember. And then Alvin Kamara won everyone their leagues in 2017, his rookie year. I think you should just ignore unofficial depth charts, in particular for Sean Payton offenses. Like, that's just that's not worth the electricity to click on that tweet to read it.
So the other thing I tease, speaking of Dobbins, his former teammate Rashawn Slater ends up. It's announced by the Los Angeles Chargers that he will miss the entire 2025 NFL season. Tears his patellar tendon today in practice. One of the NFL's best left tackles, I think that's unquestionable. Joe Alt and him, the right tackle for the Chargers, that was probably the best tandem, the best duo for tackles in the NFL. And we don't know what's going to happen for him for the start of next season. We know these are tricky things. Alt is going to become the left tackle, as reported by, I believe, I think Schefter. I'm not going to attribute that, but there's wild speculation that, wildly popular speculation that Alt is going to be the left tackle. Trey Pipkins III is probably going to be moved up to starting on the right side. This is a big deal, obviously, Alex, but when you consider this is Greg Roman, this is Jim Harbaugh, this is Omarion Hampton, who's been climbing up draft boards quite a bit. This is and Najee Harris when he gets back. This is a team that wants to run the football, run it a lot, and run it very successfully. They're going to have to do without Rashawn Slater this year now to do it. Your thoughts on how far we need to be bumping down Hampton and perhaps bumping down Najee Harris as a result?
Yeah, it's kind of really it's just an inopportune timing because Omarion Hampton was climbing so much with all the news and uncertainty around Najee Harris's eye injury, right? I think it was on Reddit where they zoomed in on Najee's helmet and you could see his left eye wasn't open or something, and it was a whole thing. And then you just see Hampton's ADP slowly getting lower and lower. So earlier, I think maybe it's probably good for his ADP that maybe he won't keep getting early and earlier. But I am very concerned about their O-line now. I think that is you can't lose a big piece like that. They're going to go from probably a top unit to middle of the pack unit, and that really hurts. It just stinks.
For anybody who's wondering about Omarion Hampton and how we're treating this and how we're changing the way we're drafting him, keep watching for the second segment because we're going to have a lot to say about Omarion Hampton, whose ADP currently has ascended to 303 as running back 13. Some stuff going on in San Francisco right now. A lot of people, Alex, will tell you that they don't like Christian McCaffrey in fantasy, and that's fine. Draft how you want to draft. But if you don't like McCaffrey because he's quote unquote always hurt, then you should like Isaac Guerendo. You should like Jordan James. The problem with those guys, they're both down now. As Guerendo, I think, was going to miss a few weeks. Jordan James, as reported by Matt Barrows, is going to miss a couple of weeks after he had surgery on a broken finger as well. So the depth chart's getting thin. I think the thing that I look at this as far as Guerendo and James, especially James, these should not be long-term injuries. They should be back for the start of the regular season. I'm not really adjusting the way I'm drafting Guerendo and James based on these injuries. Have you had any particular changes of heart in regards to selecting backup 49ers running backs in drafts?
No, I think I think I've been mostly targeting Guerendo because I think he's just a fun player, right? Just a dude that hits it and is fast. And so that's not really, I think, an injury here. He already knows the playbook. He's been there a year. He knows what he's doing. I'm less worried about him coming in as a sophomore versus a rookie. but I'm really still not super worried. I think they'll both be okay, but maybe it'll depress their ADP a little bit, which makes it even more interesting to try and snag them. But it really doesn't change my opinion of CMC at all, right? Just because his backups are hurt. He's going to be what he was going to be, and either he's going to be a great end of the first round pick, one of the best ones maybe in history, or everyone was right and he got hurt again, and well, it's a bummer.
How are you handling McCaffrey? Like, what end of the spectrum are you on? Are you of the belief that you're staying away at that 112, 201 price, or are you investing in him there?
If you're not first, you're last. So I'm grabbing him if I can. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and I just lit a league on fire, and that's okay. But like, it's not often you get that kind of upside at the 112, 201 where he is. Like, it's kind of a unique position this year.
Fortune favors the bold, and the bold is definitely Alex Korff in this case. Speaking of the Niners, this is another big piece of news we got from John Lynch today. Cam Inman put this out on social media. John Lynch says he, quote, doesn't think Brandon Ayuk is going to be cleared for week 1. Lynch also did not set a timetable for his return. Don't forget that this was an injury in week 7 last year. Not only did he tear his ACL, he tore his MCL as well. Initial reports after this injury stated that he was probably going to be ready to play midway through the 2025 season, and maybe that's still the case. Maybe he's sort of like a mid-year type of guy. Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall obviously are the beneficiaries of this. You could say McCaffrey and George Kittle as well. Ayuk continues to fall. This is a player, dude. I mean, this is the perfect example, Alex, of a player I'm just 100% completely off of in redraft. When you consider he's coming off the ACL, there's no timetable. The general manager, a month ahead of the start of the NFL season, is already saying he doesn't think he's going to be ready. Bob Harris from Football Guys was talking about this. Like, if you're not ready for week 1, you're probably looking at like October, right? If they're saying in August right now, you're probably not going to be back until October, which could mean a pup list. And then you have to consider, like, even when he comes back, there's a ramp up period. We have seen guys at these positions, the running back and wide receiver positions, especially have what's the like Brandon Ayuk is in for a non-Brandon Ayuk type season because it does take a while to recover from this injury. You might be healthy enough to play. Are you healthy enough to be your old self? We don't know. And chances are probably not that following year. So Ayuk is on my 2026 radar. I am totally off him in redraft leagues this year. And before I let you talk about this, I'll let you know Brandon Ayuk, despite falling to wide receiver 54, despite falling to the 11-12 turn, I'm still out on him, Alex.
I think you're right. I think almost like it would maybe change if you had a league that's super deep benches with multiple IR spots. And then it kind of changes the math, right? Like, you can draft Brandon Ayuk instantly as soon as the draft's over, put him in your IR, and then pick someone up off the waiver wire. So like, it's like a free draft pick. If you have a heavy IR league, like 2 or 3 IR, if you have 1, I still wouldn't even do that. But I think he's a player that is probably a waste of a draft pick, because you're more than likely going to be able to pick him up off the waiver wire because someone else had to drop him in most of your leagues before he can play. Just because you have to do some roster churn before Brandon Ayuk is going to be able to play, almost definitely.
Let's get back into it here, and we'll shift out of the Bay Area and go to Nashville. Tony Pollard has been listed as running back 1 on the first unofficial draft depth chart. Now, we talked about this earlier when we talked about RJ Harvey when it comes to, well, let's not put a whole lot of stock into these depth charts. I am sort of on Tyjae Spears this year. I think his role is going to grow bigger in that offense. I think they're going to count on him more. Doesn't surprise me that Pollard's still ahead of him. But when you consider Khalil Mullings, who I know has been praised by the Titans coaching staff, I think Spears is the better player. I would much rather be drafting Spears over Pollard at price, right? Like, Spears right now in the Big Gorilla, running back 38 at the 10:01. Okay. Pollard, if you want to look at where he's at running back 27 at the 7:05. So you're talking about almost 3 rounds that I can get Spears later. I like that price better than the expensive one of Pollard in the mid-7th round being drafted as running back 27.
See, I like them both. I think they both, not on the same team, not on the same team, But if you're doing several different teams, of course, I think it's more of what you're trying to do, and they kind of almost fit different builds. Like Spears, it's hard to get that type of upside on a running back in the 10th round. Like he just could be an absolute smash. Like he could be great. But Pollard was good last year before he got banged up, and then Spears was good, but also was hurt too. So you got to balance that. But I really like both. I think that's an offense that probably won't be good, right? Like it's probably not going to be good. But we didn't think Denver was going to be good either. We thought that their rookie QB and everything, they would need at least a year. What if Tennessee just kind of surprises us and is a top 10 team? And then those running backs both maybe would be great picks in the 7th and then the 10th round. And then they have that contingent upside if the other one gets hurt. So I honestly like both of them, and I think they're priced very well.
I'm excited to see what the Titans offense does with Cam Ward in at quarterback as opposed to Will Levis or any of the other quarterbacks that the Titans have been trotting out there the last couple of years. Calvin Ridley is exciting to me. I've been getting into Alec Iamaner later in drafts. As a late round dart throw just to see what happens with him. And I think Pollard and Spears are going to be bigger than I think people recognize, because a lot of people, similar to writing off the Browns offense, writing off the Saints offense, I think even with Cam Ward there, a lot of people are writing off the Titans offense. And I think that might be a mistake, especially given where these guys are going. You like them both. I prefer Spears over Pollard, but certainly I would, depending upon team construction, I don't think Pollard is a bad pick in the mid 7th round. I want to go back into ADP and go back up to the 1st round and talk Malik Nabers here. This is a player that has everything you want, right? Like he got an extraordinarily large target share last year. Lots of volume. He looked the part. Unbelievable. Played through a toe injury that he's been playing through since college. Horrific quarterback play, and still help people win leagues last year. So what do we have this year? We have a more competent quarterback. We have this guy in year 2 expecting to take a leap forward. I can't find any red flags about Malik Nabers at all until today. Connor Hughes reporting that Malik Nabers said it's part of the plan for him to miss some portions of practice going forward. Now, this is something that I don't know if they're managing the toe. I don't know if they're managing something else. This could be a big nothing burger. I might be, people would accuse me, Alex, over the last few weeks of being too worried about the toe thing with Malik Nabers. And maybe they're right. But then this is another thing. Again, when it seems too good to be true, maybe it is. And maybe this is something we look back on in November or December or whatever, and we're like, well, we were told that they were managing his practice time back in August. We should have seen this coming. Maybe he's due for a slump based on injury. Maybe he's not going to be as efficient as he was last year. I don't know. There's not a lot of reporting going on with this. So for you, is this something that you are just kind of, I don't want to say ignoring, but putting on the back burner right now, knowing that the Giants are managing his practice time? Or is this something significant for you where you say, okay, if this is what's going to happen with Nabers, I'm not wasting an early round pick on him. I'm going to get Puka Nacua. I'm going to get Devon Achane. I'm going to take Nico Collins or Brian Thomas or some of these other guys instead of Nabers. This is again, maybe I'm making a big deal out of it, but I think it's worth talking about.
Yeah. I think anytime that you're getting these lower body injuries and they're kind of stacking up or they're lingering like this for multiple years, that's when I really start to pay attention. We have one of the largest, if not the largest, injury database on fantasy football players or on NFL players at DraftSharks. Over 100,000 logged injuries or something over the last more than a decade, I believe. And lower body extremities, like your feet, hamstrings, like lower body, we don't like that, especially for wide receivers. When I read that report, maybe I inferred it that it was related to the toe, and I was concerned. I am concerned about him, and it does make me kind of have a little bit of side eye and be like, maybe Puka, but Puka gets hurt every year too, or Brian Thomas is interesting. So it makes me squint and go, and then I check my roster percentage to see, or exposure percent to see, maybe I need Malik, maybe I don't. It does make me nervous and probably hedge a little bit less Malik in the 1st round.
I think the way I look at this, if I was drafting in the FFPC, to me, this is enough for me to push Neighbors behind Devon Achane. It's enough for me to push Neighbors behind Trey McBride. Nakua, I might draw the line at, and Nico Collins has had his share of injuries as well. So then at that point, I think I'm still taking Neighbors at the 112, but the 111 I'm taking Achane, the 110 I'm taking McBride, or whatever. I'm taking Neighbors is basically my 12th ranked player at this point. That's how I'm handling this. I want to go to Kansas City and talk about Rashee Rice. Now, everything that we've talked about, I don't want to say everything, 80%, 85% of everything we've talked about Rashee Rice this offseason has been this suspension, or potential suspension, I should say. Now he's dealing with a groin injury. He did not practice yesterday. Groin injuries is not something that you just get over like that. They have a tendency to stick around for a while. And when you consider the suspension, and I don't know what you feel about the suspension, I've heard people say, yeah, he'll get 2 or 3 games. And then I heard, we've had people chiming into the live streams with the FFPC saying, like, don't rule out 6 games, don't rule out 8 games. And then I read somewhere on the internet that like 10 games is still possible. When you consider Rashee Rice not really falling off a ton, either because of this potential suspension or this groin injury, he's still going in the 4th round. We're looking at 412 right hand, wide receiver 22, ahead of McLaurin, ahead of McMillan, Pickens, and Sutton here. This is another fade for me, man. Like, I can't, I'm waiting for the price to fall, and it just has not fallen yet.
It's amazing that it hasn't fallen with the suspension likely coming. Like, it's weird because we had the same situation last season, like where we thought he was going to get suspended, and then it didn't come, and then his ADP went up. But it's not really. It doesn't seem to align where he was last year, and he's coming off of an injury. I think he's one of the easiest players to pass in the 4th for me. Like, I'm worried about Terry McLaurin too, with no contract. But you said Sutton, you said Pickens, you said some other really solid wide receivers that I think have a little bit less warts right at this moment that I think are just a little safer to pair in the 4th round, unless I'm absolutely trying to shoot for the moon. Then I think Rice is interesting. Like, maybe, let's say depending on how you built your first 3 rounds, I think there's some that maybe Rice fits, but still probably not with how I build most of my teams.
Yeah, you mentioned all of McLaurin, McMillan, Pickens, Sutton, and I'll give you another one that's going after him that I would totally take ahead of Rashee Rice, and that's Jameson Williams. We'll get into him a little bit more later on in the show, but that's another player to look at. And then you're looking at the Devonta Smith, Zay Flowers, Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle tier. I think you can make a case for all those guys over Rashee Rice this year as well. So I don't know why it hasn't fallen, but it is going to drop like a rock if he ends up getting suspended for 8 to 10 games. We'll see on that. We'll obviously be covering it here on FFPC Insider Access. Speaking of covering it, the Ravens and Colts have kicked off, and Keaton Mitchell is already in the end zone. A 22-yard touchdown scamper for Keaton Mitchell, somebody to keep your eye on in the mid rounds of drafts this year as a potential replacement if Derrick Henry were to go down. And you say, Balky, that's crazy. Derrick Henry never goes down. And I say, yes, you're probably right, but you never know. Yeah. Moving on to Carolina, one of the receivers I just talked about that is going after Rashee Rice is the rookie from Arizona, Teteroa McMillan. ESPN's David Newton, who covers the Panthers for that network, believes that he has been the standout performer in training camp. No, not Newton, but McMillan has been the standout performer for the Panthers. Quote, he's shown flashes of greatness that Young didn't have available at receiver a year ago. Now, if you look at where he's going in drafts, Teteroa McMillan was wide receiver 24. He's being drafted as a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3, and it's going to cost you an early 5th-round pick to get him on your team. I wish I had more of McMillan. I feel like this is an offense that is going to be on the field a lot. I don't think they are a good team yet, but this offense is going to take a step forward, and McMillan is going to be a big reason for that. I love McMillan in the early 5th round. Alex, when I talk about, the players going right after Rice with McLaurin, McMillan, Pickens, and Sutton, does Teteroa McMillan stand out to you among those players more so than the others?
Yeah, I think maybe not more so than others. I really like Sutton. I really like, but I think Tet is a really interesting player, and he gives you a lot of just options with stacking later, because like you can grab almost any other secondary Carolina wide receiver, and probably who else is going to draft Bryce Young in your best ball league to stack him, right? Like, so you can grab him, Adam Thielen, or who did they draft in the first last year?
Xavier Legette.
Leggett. Yeah, there you go. I was like Xavier. I was like Worthy. That's not right. Leggett. So like you just have options, and then you could even take a shot at their one of their tight ends as well. So like you can get a lot of really cool stacks, and I think he matches with that really well. And hopefully no one's taking Bryce Young besides you, because why else would they? But I think he's a great option in the 5th round, especially in best ball. I think that makes it a really interesting pick.
Moving up the East Coast to New England, ESPN's Mike Reese has reported that Stephon Diggs, Demario Douglas, and Kayshon Boutte have been the top pass catchers in practice so far. Now, Douglas been pretty consistent from the slot the last couple of years. Diggs was obviously their big get in free agency. Obviously, he's coming off the ACL, much further along than Brandon Ayuk apparently. Yeah. And I think that while I'm obviously this is a red flag if Diggs was not mentioned by Reese here, it does not surprise me that Demario Douglas was mentioned. The Kayshon Boutte thing is very interesting. He was a player that I think a lot of people were expecting him to go on day 1, day 2 of his NFL draft. He did not. He did not go until the 6th round pick. Hardly played at all in 2023, and I was ready to write this guy off. But last year, just under 600 yards receiving, over 40 catches, and he got in the end zone 3 times. From week 6 to the rest of the season, he was on the field for more than 70% of the time when the New England offense was out there. Now, Mac Hollins, Kyle Williams, the rookie that I know a lot of people were excited about at Dynasty rookie draft time, they have been mixing in with Kayshon Boutte as that number 3 receiver here. And obviously with Drake May throwing the ball in year 2, I'm pretty bullish on Drake May in 2025. So I think that there could be some fantasy value here. Maybe not so much in redraft like the big gorilla or the main event, but definitely in best ball. Are you surprised to hear this news on Kayshon Boutte? Because quite frankly, I've been drafting Kyle Williams and Demario Douglas as the 2 and 3 receivers in New England. I had not considered Boutte, but do we need to start looking closer at Kayshon Boutte in New England, Alex?
Yeah, I think this one doesn't make me, this report doesn't make me particularly more interested in Boutte, but it makes me kind of look at Kyle Williams and go, why didn't they say your name? All right. Like, cause he was also mine. Like Pop Douglas is on, I think maybe 100% of my best ball teams. Like it's a problem. I actually can't stop drafting him. It's probably not 100%, but it's probably like 50%. And it is a problem. I need to stop, but you guys just keep letting him go too late. It does make me more concerned about Kyle Williams in particular. I mean, I saw hype around him, some training camp videos and things, and I figured there would be some more, but more, I guess, hype or excitement about him. But seeing Kayshon Boutte as the top pass catcher, that's interesting. I don't think that makes me want to draft him. Just maybe I'll slow down on some of the other guys a little bit.
Well, by the way, we got breaking news coming from this game. Anthony Richardson has left the Colts preseason game against Baltimore due to injury. I don't know what the injury was yet. I'm going to go on X here in a little bit and try to figure that out. But Richardson hurt tonight against the Ravens in the preseason. More to come on that as we get that news in. I have to ask you about Demario Douglas. 100%, you're right. It's a problem. We got to send you to DDA. Demario Douglas Anonymous, because this is crazy. What is it about him this year that has you popping pop in the draft room so far, Alex?
I think he's just so safe. It's like a warm blanket you just get to wrap around yourself, and it's him catching targets out of the slot. I don't know. It's just it's hard at that point in the draft to get a player that I expect or project to get that much volume, and it's just a little bit of safety that maybe balances out some of the later round, probably dumber picks that I'm willing to make. Got to balance those out a little bit with some safety.
So I'm looking at the Anthony Richardson thing. It was a blitz that Baltimore brought, and there must have been some error in the protection. And I don't know who it was. Defensive end for Baltimore just came screaming across and blindsided Richardson in the pocket. He put his shoulder into Richardson's right shoulder, his throwing arm, which we know was, that's like the worst spot for him to get hit, and he's left the game. So I don't know. This doesn't look great, and obviously we'll get an earlier look than expected with Daniel Jones against Baltimore tonight. Tampa Bay is an interesting conversation in fantasy leagues this year. we'll get into Bucky Irving, but the wide receiver. So Mike Evans, where Rick Stroud, does Rick Stroud work for Tampa Bay Times or Pewter Report? I can't remember. He's been covering the team for forever. He wrote a piece on why this could be Mike Evans last year. And Mike Evans himself kind of alluded on camera, like, don't count on me for the next 2 or 3 years. Like, this could be it or whatever. Chris Godwin, this saga, they give him, he gets hurt in week 7. They give him all the money. Then they draft Emeka Egbuka, and now he's not looking likely for week 1. And that's fine. Like, you want him to recover, obviously, but Egbuka has been balling out in training camp for the Buccaneers, according to Jenna Lane, and it has shown in FFPC drafts as well, as far as how people are handling this guy. Consummate professional. All his teammates seem to be praising him quite a bit. And Jenna Lane was talking about this on ESPN about comparing Egbuka to Jalen McMillan. And McMillan last year, now granted, McMillan did not have the draft capital that Egbuka did in the NFL draft, but it took him a long time to acclimate to this offense, whereas Egbuka is seemingly picking this up pretty easily. He is being drafted just inside the top 40 receivers now. I think he's wide receiver 39 in the FFPC Big Gorilla over the last 2 days. But dude, I mean, like, I don't think we've reached peak Egbuka in drafts yet. Wide receiver 39 at the 708. I think he's going to continue to ascend. I really like the player. I like the offense. I know they're on their third offensive coordinator in 3 years, but that train just seems to be chugging along there just fine. I am definitely willing to soak a 708 pick into Egbuka, and I would still look at him in the 6th round too, Alex. Maybe whatever you have with Pop Douglas, I have for Egbuka right now. But your thoughts on where you would be looking at Egbuka and how high is too high for this guy who's clearly being an ascendant right now?
Yeah, I think I think that spot is totally reasonable for him. I'm very interested with him there as well. You said Chris Godwin hurt his ankle week 7.
Yes.
In that report, they even said that if they needed to, he could potentially be back if they made a push to the Super Bowl. And now he still might not make week 1. Like that was reported right after he got hurt. And it's just like, wait, which one of these is true? Like, did something happen? I think he did get a second surgery is what I thought I remember seeing. But that makes me really interested in, I'm bad at names, but I am interested in this rookie.
Emeka Egbuka, yes.
Emeka Egbuka. Matt and them make fun of me so much because I can't do names. I never did. I read them and if I don't hear it, I'm not going to say it correctly, but it makes it really interesting because if Godwin starts slow or on the pup or is just slow, and Evans is just not young. Like, what if this rookie takes over and is the wide receiver 1? I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but like range of outcomes, there's definitely a chance. And that upside that late in the draft, that middle rounds of the draft, definitely makes me interested.
We have more on Anthony Richardson, as the Ravens have just scored from a long ways out. That was a huge touchdown. I'm trying to see who ended up scoring it for Baltimore. But the Richardson, I think, is good. The Richardson thing is good. He was looked at by trainers. He was seen trying to grip a football, and they're looking at his right hand, not his right shoulder, which is good. He apparently has a finger injury and will not return to this game, but it is not the shoulder they were looking at. They were looking at a finger, which I think at this point, for all of us holding Anthony Richardson shares, and I do mean us, it's good news.
I literally just drafted him in my
Did you really?
my FFPC best ball today. I drafted him today, and the one that I have going right now, I'm just like, gosh. And like when you said the news, I was like, God, like 4 hours earlier. Like,
well, but this is good though that it's not the shoulder. I mean, and like I looked at this, it was a David Ojabo, the edge rusher for the Ravens, unblocked, hit him high. It looked exactly, I mean, like right on the shoulder. By the way, it was a punt return for the Ravens that they housed for a touchdown here. They go up 14-3 on Indianapolis.
Who was it that housed it?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
I bet it was Keaton Mitchell too.
It's not Keaton Mitchell.
No.
I'm looking up. I got the jersey number here. And I'm looking it up on the Ravens website just to make sure I get this right. I don't know if it's a well-known guy, quite frankly.
Gotcha.
And he may, LeJohntay Wester It looks like a rookie from Colorado. Yeah, LeJontay Wester was the guy who hosted. So there you go. 5'9", 170 pounds, and celebrating big time on the Ravens sideline right now. Good on you, buddy. The next place I want to go is Jordan Addison in Minnesota. He was suspended for 3 games for violating the substances of abuse policy. We kind of thought this. We were pretty sure he was going to get suspended, and he did. And I think his wide receiver 43, 808 ADP, Alex, makes sense to me that FFPC players were basing that draft spot that he was going to get suspended. Like, I don't think there's going to be any sort of dip at this point. I don't think Addison all of a sudden plunges to the 9th or the 10th round based on this. I think he stays where he's going in the mid-8th round right there. And that is a price I want to be in business with. We'll talk about JJ McCarthy later, but Addison as wide receiver 43, I like that right now. What say you in regards to Jordan Addison in 2025?
Yeah, I think his ADP probably won't shift at all in best ball. I think we might see it go down in like your home leagues, just because people are like, they'll see that little suspend icon next to his name, and usually you'll see a dip there. Like if you track, like, I don't know, sleeper or something, like some sort of just home league, the casuals, you'll see that go down. But I think it's totally reasonable, and I think if it actually does drop in best ball, it's probably more related to that quarterback, like you said, and any negative reports we're going to start seeing come out more. That's probably more going to be the effect.
Khalil Shakir, this is kind of interesting too. So he's got an ankle injury. It's the same ankle that he hurt during the 2024 season. Sean McDermott said this morning that he believes Khalil Shakir is going to be ready for week 1. He was fairly nebulous in his description of what he foresees going forward for Shakir when the NFL season starts. But this seems to be good news. If he thinks he's going to be ready for week 1, I don't think this is a high ankle sprain. You don't want a player who is probably the Buffalo Bills' #1 receiver missing all of training camp. It's not ideal. I want to get your thought. Maybe this is going to tell me what kind of best ball player you are. Khalil Shakir is a player that has a pretty high floor, I would say, as in that Buffalo Bills offense. But I don't know how high his ceiling is. Wide receiver 46 at the 903 right now. I look at Jaden Reed, who's going almost the exact ADP as Shakir, and I see spike week potential with Jaden Reed. Josh Downs, I think, is a very similar player to Shakir. Cooper Kupp, I think you can make the case. Keon Coleman, his own teammate, I think there's spike week potential with him. It's weird because if you look at all these receivers going in this glut here, you have Keon Coleman, Michael Pittman, Jaden Higgins. They all strike me as players that I think are going to be fairly consistent. Do we want consistency in the 9th round of best ball tournaments, Alex? Do we want guys, that are going to be able to give us, 12, 13, 14 points? Or do we want the players that are going to give us 3, 4, and then all of a sudden 35? And then the next week, 7 points, and then all of a sudden 25. So I think this is interesting because Shakir is not an exciting pick, and maybe he's not the right pick in best ball. In the Big Gorilla, which is a managed league, 903 is where he's going right now. Your thoughts on this ankle injury for Khalil Shakir and how you are or are not moving him up or down your draft board?
Yeah, I'm probably not shifting him significantly based on this news because I think it was kind of what I assumed already. I think if they would have said he might not be ready week 1, then I would have been like, wait, what? What are you saying? I think in a managed league in the 9th round is totally fair. In best ball, the reason I have so much Pop Douglas is because I am not taking Shakir in the 9th round. It's because I'm taking Reed, I'm taking Pittman because I think he does have ceiling. I'm taking those guys because that's who I like there. I take Pop Douglas to as that antacid of taking all those guys that are risky and upsetting my stomach. So I got to balance it there. But I don't think I have any Shakir in best ball.
Take 100% of Pop Douglas and call Dr. Alex Korff in the morning to let him know. This gave me great pleasure when I saw this news in Los Angeles about Keenan Allen coming back home again. Tom Pelissero reported this earlier this week. It is a 1-year, $8.5 million contract for the Chargers and Keenan Allen to be in business with each other again. 33 years old. Last year was the only year he spent in his professional career not as a Charger. He was a Chicago Bear last year. And I think there's a narrative out there that he was washed and he couldn't do anything last year. bear in mind the quarterback. We complained about Caleb Williams a lot when it came to Rome Odunze, when it came to Keenan Allen, when it came to DJ Moore there as well. So I think that you have to attribute poor quarterback play here for Caleb Williams to Keenan Allen. But, I mean, the guy had 70 catches. He put up more than 700 yards. He got into the end zone 7 times. He was a top 35 receiver last year. The Chargers don't have Mike Williams anymore. They have a rookie in Trey Harris, another rookie in Keandre Lambert-Smith next to Ladd McConkey there. This guy was wide receiver 3 in 2023 and was a Pro Bowler that year as well. For 6 seasons, he was Justin Herbert's number 1 wide receiver. Why is that interesting? Because Justin Herbert is his quarterback again this season. He's going to be in the slot a lot. I would imagine his ADOT is probably not going to be great, but that's okay because he's going to get a lot of catches. Probably the number 2 passing option on this team right away as he comes back to Los Angeles. Keenan Allen, the ADP has not reflected the bump yet. He has gone as high as the 12th round over the last 2 days in the FFPC Big Gorilla. On average, dude, wide receiver 65, 1504. Buy Keenan Allen right now because I got to believe his ADP is going to be going up quite a bit over the next week or two. I love this landing spot for Keenan Allen. I'm glad I invested in him when he was a free agent. Yeah. And now I think anybody else did the same thing. Alex should be able to reap the benefits for him in Los Angeles.
Yeah, he was the biggest mispriced ADP player all summer because we knew, I mean, you know that he's going to sign with a team. And he was, you could have bet probably a lot of money that it was going to be returning home to the Chargers. And then you're just getting, 80 picks of ADP value or something? I mean, where he'll probably end up. I mean, it was the easiest, just pure value play was Keenan Allen all summer. Is Amari Cooper going to be the same? We'll see. But Keenan Allen was an easy bet to just reap that reward of just stealing free picks back in ADP value.
I want to go and talk about my Green Bay Packers with you for a few minutes here. Kevin Clark reported that Jordan Love said Matthew Golden is the most impressive Packers newcomer, said that he's going to be a stud. He said that he looks very polished as well. Jordan Love has been very effusive in his praise over the Packers' number 1 draft pick this offseason, and it seems like they're clicking. He's making big plays in practice every day. Maybe that's a commentary on how thin and, quite frankly, maybe bad the Packers' cornerbacks are this year, but you never know. He's going inside the top 40 receivers, just barely, in the Fantasy Football Players Championship Big Gorilla. And this is a player that, and this is more me just being unconvinced about any Packers pass catcher in a non-best ball league. There's going to be weeks where it's a Jaden Reed week. There's going to be weeks where it's a Dobbs week, a Golden week, a Tucker Kraft week, a Dontavian Wicks week. And I know I'm kind of an island on this, and we can talk about Tucker Kraft here as well. I know they want to use him more. I know that they want to get the ball to him as much as possible, both Kraft and Golden. And that's fine to say, but that's all it is. It's words. Matt LaFleur, his offense has been predicated on spreading the ball around, for his entire time in Green Bay, really, except for when Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are playing pitch and catch, right? And now you can make the case that Golden breaks that mold because he's the first round pick. But until I see it, I'm not in on it. I have been warming up to both players, both Golden and Tucker Kraft. But I'm still mainly icy, right? When it comes to those two players, I'm still frozen. I got the trickles of water dripping off my fingertips right now because I'm starting to warm up to them a little bit, but I still have misgivings about picking Packers in managed leagues because I think they might drive you nuts more often than not.
Yeah, and I think what you said is picking Packers, but I think you mean picking Packers pass catchers.
Pass catchers. I'm in on Jordan
catchers.
Love. I'm in on Jordan Love.
Yeah. It makes me want more Jordan Love. Like he is because this year he is just a late round quarterback, like he just did. And he is going to be my number 1 in managed leagues. He is going to be my number 1 quarterback, like that I'm going to have the most of because he's effectively free. And with all, if we just get one more season of him not injured this year and throwing to all of these guys, I'm super into it. I think Tucker Kraft's probably due for some regression. He had some pretty big yak plays that are maybe not super sticky year over year. I think he's a great player. I think he's probably being drafted too high for a tight end just because they have so many options. Like I don't want my tight end to be potentially the 4th the third, fourth, or fifth option on their own team. I would like them to be the second or third, ideally, or first, right? That's what we want. Is we want those the real breakouts. But it makes me want Jordan Love, and it does not make me want to draft basically any Green Bay pass catchers in any sort of managed league. And I want a little bit of all of them in best ball to stack with Jordan Love, 2 or 3 of them.
I think that's the way to do it, and it's an easy stack to do in best ball. I'll tell you this: Matt Schneidman from The Athletic, who covers the Packers, said that he reported that Jordan Love wants to run more in 2025. He had talked with Schneidman. This was a report that came out this morning, I want to say, about not checking the ball down so much and looking for open running lanes. I think that he could not do this last year. I think most people would agree with me. It's because of that nasty knee injury he had in Brazil on that slippery turf against the Eagles in week 1. I left that game thinking that Jordan Love's season was over. And the fact that he was able to play 3 weeks later or whatever it was pretty crazy. But I think it affected him all season long. And I think that's why you saw so much Josh Jacobs. I think that's why you saw very little from Jordan Love running the ball. And I think that's why you saw a neutered, at least muted passing game for Green Bay last year. Adam Stenavich, who's the Packers offensive coordinator, was asked last week about Love running more. And he said that Love's running ability is a, quote, huge weapon. And Love has been able to make some big plays down the field. Now, 14.5 yards per game in 2023 of rushing yards per game and 4 rushing scores. Last year, 5.5 rushing yards a game and 1 touchdown. It was a bad scenario for Love last year because Josh Jacobs shouldered so much of the offense. It's recency bias, Alex. People are letting Love slip. I'm going to bring this up right now in the Big Gorilla. He's quarterback 18 right now at the 1503. You could pick 14 other players and still get Jordan Love in the 15th round, which is crazy to me. You have to understand how good this guy is and how much he's going to bounce back this year. And I think the more you understand that, the better off you're going to be. Now, will his ADP change? I don't think so, but certainly there's a possibility that, Love moves up to a point where I think it's untenable. And then there's other quarterbacks I look at instead of him. But right now he is a buy. And I am preaching to the converted here. You are a big Jordan Love fan this year as well.
Yeah, he's going to be a top 12 quarterback in my rankings this year, probably top 10 when I go to submit them to the accuracy contest. I think a lot of times what happens is he got hurt week 1, and that image, that what he did the first 4 weeks, which was literally nothing because he basically wasn't playing, right? Besides for a little bit, that sticks into people's minds, and then they just remember that and they're like, oh yeah, that's Jordan Love. And it's the very beginning of the season just has so much weight into what people's minds of what they remember, because a lot of the time people just aren't playing fantasy after week 8, 9, 10 because your team's bad. You had Jordan Love and he got hurt. So you just remember Jordan Love, oh no, he screwed me. I'm never going to draft him again. And now he's quarterback 18. And that's probably the worst quarterback value. I think he is so mispriced. So I guess the best value, I think he is easily the most mispriced quarterback right now.
Yeah, get more love in your life. Come and get your love with Jordan Love this year in FFPC fantasy leagues. Listen to Alex Korff, which we're going to do for the next hour plus. I want to catch our breath, take a quick break, remind everybody that what you just heard from us in this first segment, you can put that to good use with the FFPC Big Gorilla Tournament, $1 million grand prize. You can get a $50 discount on every third team you purchase. Don't forget, if you keep getting that 7-pick multiple times in a row, you're going to keep getting free teams, escalating free teams from us as well, including a Jungle Safari for 4 if you get it 5 times in a row. A lot of fun. The FFPC Best Ball and Superflex Best Ball Tournament also going on at myffpc.com. I want to tell you about the new twist we added to the Best Ball Tournament this year when we come back and play The Price is Right, Alex Korff edition. I will be Bob Barker / Drew Carey. We're going to see what kind of numbers the data scientist over at Draft Sharks, Alex Korff, gives us here. You are watching FFPC Insider Access on the Better Sports Network. He's Alex Korff from Draft Sharks. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. So much more show to go.
What's up, guys? Andrew Cooper here, Fantasy Alarm. And boy, do I have great news for you. It's that time of year. The FFPC main event is open. The flagship contest, in my opinion, the biggest #1 contest in all of fantasy football. It's not just about the prizes. You can win $1 million, but if you win a contest like this, you are gold-plated, gold-stamped in this community. That puts respect on your name when you go in there with the big dogs and you win a tournament like this. So get set up with my FFPC now. When you use promo code ALARM, they'll give you $25 when you deposit $35 or more if you've never drafted there before. And you can get in there with the big dogs. If you really want, you can actually go to Vegas and draft at the Paris Casino live in these contests. You don't have to do that, though. You can draft online. They have 6-hour, 2-hour, and 60-second clocks, depending on what you're feeling. You're going to want to draft early and often in these to give yourself the best possible shot at winning. And let me tell you, when you go over to your social media bio and you throw FFPC main event champion in there, people start thinking about you at a different way. You are now an absolute champion and legend in this community if you win the FFPC main event. Open now over at myffpc.com.
Event draft season.
A main event team on FFPC $2,000 entry team. Grand prize of $1 million.
I'm looking for that $1 million top prize.
Main event season is in full swing.
FFPC Insider Access rolls on here live on the Better Sports Network for Thursday, August 7th. Welcome to August. So much fun to be talking fantasy football tonight with Alex Korff from Draft.Sharks and watching some NFL football as well. I know we've been following this Colts-Ravens game more so than the other one going on right now. It is a tie ball game, 7-7 between the Bengals and Eagles. Joe Burrow looking in midseason form, 6 of 7, 71 yards and a touchdown. 3 of those catches have gone to Jamar Chase for 41 yards. Tanner Hudson was the guy who got in the end zone. Chase Brown with 24 total yards. And it's a story of Tanner's because that's who scored for the Eagles. Tanner McKee, the quarterback who started tonight, has ran one in from a yard out. He's in the end zone for a touchdown for the Eagles. 7-7 there. Will Shipley, 6 catches for 47 yards. And just like we expected, Jahan Dotson, 2 catches for 27 yards. Hashtag not done yet. Let's get into the Price is Right, the Alex Korff edition here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I teased it before the break. If any of the numbers, any of the things that Alex is about to spew from Price is Right here, if you want to use those to your advantage, join the FFPC Best Ball Tournament. Join the FFPC Superflex Best Ball Tournament. The Best Ball Tournament, the FFPC, what we added this year was a $100,000 runner-up prize. In other words, you can enter for $125, even if you don't win that $300K for taking first. If you come in second, you're still going to get a 6-figure grand prize. You'll get a 6-figure grand prize in the Superflex Best Ball Tournament if you win the whole thing there. And that's just $35 to enter. 30-second, 60-second, 2-hour, and 6-hour clocks live now for the FFPC Best Ball Tournaments at myffpc.com. All right, let's bring out our lovely spokesmodel or spokesperson, whatever it is, on the Price is Right, to tell you all about Bucky Irving, Alex Korff. Bucky Irving was a player that came from nowhere last season, an afterthought, if you will. A player that was an injury-away type guy, maybe even a 2-injury-away type guy behind Rachaad White, of course, Sean Tucker there last year as well. A player many drafters called undersized, a player that not a lot of people believed in. And what did Bucky Irving do? He churned out one of the best running back seasons of any player at his position last year. However, that has inflated his ADP. Right now, Bucky Irving, no longer a mid-round, late-round player. You have to soak a late second-round pick into him as he is being drafted as running back 9. So if I could get your bid on this, Alex, what is the spot that you are willing to say Bucky Irving will rank at the end of the season among running backs for this 2025 year?
Is this total points or points per game?
This will be total points, total fantasy points, okay? And when we consider all the running backs for total fantasy points, where is Bucky Irving's name going to appear on that list?
I would say probably running back like 14.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So we're playing Price is Right rules. You don't want to go over, obviously. And you are being a little bit conservative. I guess, I mean, he's being drafted as running back 9. You're saying running back 14. So you would tell me that the FFPC market, based on your bid here, FFPC market maybe is overvaluing Bucky Irving just slightly.
I do. I think I have a bias against small running backs, especially small running backs that run like they're big running backs. and he just does. He has hate in his heart, and I like it. I like, it. But when you're 190 pounds, you should probably maybe try and dodge a couple guys every now and then because they hurt. But yeah, I Bucky's going to be my keeper in my home league as a 15th round pick.
That's
right?
different, though.
That's different.
Yeah.
You're right. So like, I don't want people to think like he won me that league. Like he did. But I don't think he's going to be a good value at RB9 this year. I am pretty concerned. And a lot of it is due to injury, and some of it's due to just maybe regression or more of a split backfield too.
Bucky Irving is going slightly in front of a glut of running backs here, including Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, and Omarion Hampton, which leads us to our next showcase here on the Price is Right Alex Korff edition on the Better Sports Network's FFPC Insider Access show. Kyron Williams, a player that many people, despite him putting up big seasons, continue to undervalue him. And I may be among those people. A heavy workload has seemingly been no problem for Kyron Williams. A coach in Sean McVay who loves to utilize one running back only, and that running back the last couple of years is Kyron Williams, a player that has been rewarded with a 3-year contract extension. He's going to be there despite the Rams utilizing day 2 draft capital in consecutive years with Blake Corum and now Jarquez Hunter. Jarquez Hunter might have been day 3, now that I think about it.
Day 3.
Day 3, sorry. But in any event, I have to ask you, if we are bidding on this amazing Studley running back in Southern California here, what is the spot you would bid on Kyron Williams ranking among running backs for total points for the 2025 campaign, Alex?
I think RB8's an easy one. I think I would even potentially go lower. I like Kyron. I like the fact that he signed a contract. I think we'll see his ADP go lower as well. I think it's probably not fixed. I don't think that. I think there was some hesitancy to the fact that he didn't have a contract, probably. So we might see him climb to a little bit earlier than where he is now. But I like him this year. I think he's probably undervalued. I would take him over Bucky. I would take him before Bucky.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. Running back 12 at the 302, and certainly you think that FFPC drafters are letting him slip a little bit too far right now. He is going on average 4 or 5 picks. I think it's 5 picks behind Bucky Irving, going behind Taylor, going behind Jacobs. However, he is going in front of our next showcase here on the Price is Right Alex Korff edition on Insider Access, Omarion Hampton. What can you say about this guy that hasn't already been said? A player who had a really good final year at the University of North Carolina. A player who can pass block. He can catch the ball. He can rush the ball like Boobie Miles. He can kick the extra point too. He is a do-all-everything guy, and yet people just want to talk about Ashton Genty for rookie running backs this year. Hampton falls a little bit along the wayside. Not that exciting. And then Najee Harris decided to play with fireworks in July and has a superficial eye injury that is bordering on super duper superficial. The fact that he is walking with a weighted vest doing laps right now. And you mentioned earlier, the Zapruder film on Reddit shows that his eye wasn't even open, which is not great, Bob. And it has skyrocketed Omarion Hampton up draft boards. In the pros versus Joes competition over the last 2 weeks, we saw John Daigle from Established Run take him in the late 2nd round. Hampton in the late 2nd round. And, wait, hold on. I'm just getting it. This from my producer. Hold on. Just received word Omarion Hampton is going to be missing his starting left tackle for the season as Rashawn Slater has torn his patella tendon. So maybe this decreases the bid that you would have had prior to this, Alex. But I have to ask you, what is the spot? Where are you bidding on where Omarion Hampton finishes among running backs this year in total fantasy points?
So before the Slater injury, I would have said 12th because I like him. But now I'm going to say like 15th. I think I don't. Okay. I think it's significant. I don't think it's nothing. I think when you lose an O lineman like that, it's a problem.
Hampton is running back 13 at the 303 right now. So for you, this is a price that you are no longer willing to pay. You are willing to let him go to somebody else at that level. You would take Tyreek Hill. You would take Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins. Well, I don't know if you would, but these are all players that are going after him. What if I asked you, if you could have Omarion Hampton or Breece Hall this year at cost, which one would you pick? It's
Man,
close.
that's a tough one. That one's hard. That's really hard. I think I would go Hampton, but I really like Breece Hall. But he's hurt me so many times. I just can't keep taking it.
Let's go one notch below. Omarion Hampton or Kenneth Walker in Seattle.
I think
It's Walker.
I think I would go Hampton. I think I would still go Hampton.
Still
but
Hampton.
It's close.
Okay.
But all three of them are really close. Like they're tough.
And then the next guy who goes after him in FFPC drafts, I know where you fall in on this. You are taking Hampton 100% of the time over James Cook, so we don't need to do that. Okay, let's have some fun here. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to continue talking about running backs, but I'm going to shift the focus to total number of PPR points, okay, for one Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren is a player that has been playing in the shadows of Najee Harris for the last few years in Pittsburgh. A player that, we liked to be able to use him on certain weeks as just a fill-in flex because you knew he was going to touch the ball, he'd catch a few passes, yada, yada, yada. He comes through for you, at least albeit in a smaller form. This year's a little bit different. This year, Najee Harris is gone. This year, Caleb Johnson is there, the rookie from Iowa, who apparently is getting failing grades for his pass protection in practice, which is good for Jaylen Warren that he'll be out there a lot. And you think about how Aaron Rodgers has had a penchant for checking down and passing to his running backs quite a bit. And it's only gotten bigger as his legs have gotten slower, not as apt to run, if at all, anymore, much more willing to check it down to Jaylen Warren. Given Caleb Johnson's underwhelming pass protection performance so far in camp, given that Jaylen Warren does not have Najee Harris to worry about, he's probably going to be on the field more. If I were to ask you, and I am asking you, the number of PPR points that Jaylen Warren is going to score in fantasy leagues this year, Alex, where would you put that number at? Your bid, sir.
I would say I'm gonna come out hot. I'm gonna come out aggressive. 200.
200 even. That's what you're saying.
200 even. I mean, I could say 199 if it makes you feel better, but let's do.
Well, this is Price is Right. You don't want to go over. That's the thing. Once you go over, man, that's it.
Yeah, you're out. I like him a lot, especially in PPR. I think he has always been undervalued. I think he was hurt most of last year, and that really messed up his season. 2023, he was great. I think Najee and Caleb Johnson are probably maybe will fill similar holes. But I like Jaylen Warren this year. I think he's probably underdrafted, and I think a 200-point season is definitely it's in his future. Actually, lock it in. It's done.
It's going to happen. Well, I think you just won you're getting to the showcase showdown with this.
Yeah.
Last year, do you know what he put up last year? Just curiously.
I think it was like 90 points or something, right?
Well, in PPR it was 123.
Oh, okay.
490 rushing yards. He got in the end zone once, rushing the ball. He caught 38 passes for 310 yards. No receiving touchdown. So it was an underwhelming year. But I'm glad to hear you say this, Alex, because I've been drafting Jaylen Warren as my third running back in a significant amount of leagues. And I think you and I are of one mind on this one as well. 200's aggressive. 199's aggressive. I don't know if I would have gone that high, but I'm glad you did because it makes me feel really good about my Jaylen Warren shares. Okay. Another running back conversation here. The battle in New York Giants camp between the rookie standout from last year, Tyrone Tracy, and the purported rookie standout for this year, Cam Skattebo, has been fun to watch. Now, you still have Devin Singletary gumming up the works there, and we know he's probably going to be a part of this campaign. However, the two Giants running backs that are being drafted high are not Singletary. They are Cam Skattebo, they are Tyrone Tracy. While Skattebo finally caught Tracy in ADP about a week and a half or so ago, where he was going ahead of Tracy, that number is switched. Maybe because of the injury to Skattebo, it could be a nag. I don't think it's significant, but I think it might be nagging, which I guess could turn into significant. But right now, Tyrone Tracy is running back 32 at the 805 in FFPC Big Gorilla drafts over the last 2 days. Cam Skattebo, running back 37 at the 907. So essentially, just over one round separates these two players. 5 running backs in ADP separate the Giants teammates Tracy and Skattebo. The thing you're bidding on here on The Price is Right is the PPR points that are going to separate these two at the end of the season. How many PPR points will separate Tracy and Scadaboo? And I feel like if I ask you that, I have to ask you which one is going to be on top. Which one of these guys is going to outscore the other one?
Yeah. So I was probably, to my own detriment, always on the Tyrone Tracy side of this. I think Scadaboo's a very interesting prospect, but I liked what I saw from Tracy last year, and I thought he was good. And I don't like to pass the torch to a 4th or 5th round rookie. I don't remember. It was late enough, which I understand that Tracy was also that, but we saw Tracy be successful in the NFL on a terrible team. So I didn't understand the logic to just throw him out. I think there's going to be a big gap. I think it's going to be like 80 points. I think Tyrone Tracy is going to crush Scadaboo. I think I like him. I am not drafting Scadaboo at his cost, or I wasn't. I think I am more into it now because I could be wrong. And then we might as well like hedge, and that's why you do best ball leagues, is you can do a little bit of both.
I was on Tracy earlier. I had shifted to Scadaboo. I think I am shifting back to Tracy now. For the leagues, I'm looking at a Giants running back in that as well. So what was the final bid? The number of PPR
80,
points?
80.
80. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
do you have any Singletary? Do you do that at all?
No. I don't.
Bother.
I can't. Listen, man, I don't play in 48 round leagues. I cannot do it. Singletary, I guess, is fine if you're a sicko and want to draft him late, but that's not me. That's not me, man. So an update on the games going on as we head to a commercial break for Price is Right, not a real commercial break, but I'm just going to tell you right now, Joe Burrow, I said he looked like he was in midseason form. He really is in midseason form. 9 of 10 now for 122 yards and 2 touchdowns. He hits Jamar Chase on a 36-yard touchdown reception. Chase is up to 4 catches for 77 yards and that touchdown, and the Bengals have taken a 14-7 lead over the Philadelphia Eagles. The other game, the Ravens Colts game, the story was Anthony Richardson leaving with a finger injury. The story has become maybe Keaton Mitchell here. 9 carries, 68 yards, and 1 touchdown so far. He has not caught any passes. Tyler Warren, though, has. He's got 3 catches for 40 yards. DJ Giddens, 4 carries for 12 yards as well as a target. Daniel Jones in there doing Daniel Jones things, 5 of 13 for 71 yards. Getting back to the game here and talk a little bit about Jaden Blue. Now, before we get into the bidding on the Jaden Blue category tonight, I have to remind everybody who may not have seen this that Jaden Blue left practice today due to an ankle injury. Todd Archer, who covers the Cowboys for ESPN, reported on this. Blue got twisted to the ground because of a face mask penalty on defensive end Sam Williams. And this is right after, I don't say right after, but recently after he had started running with the first team offense after he was running circles around the backups in Dallas. He leaves practice with the ankle injury. He comes back to practice in street clothes. Obviously, his day was done. So I have to bring that up. The Jaden Blue roller coaster that we have been on, Alex, I think is significant. From a player we thought would be drafted higher to a player that we were excited about his landing spot because he just had to leapfrog over Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, to then the report from this former Cowboys coach saying current Cowboys coaches were very unsatisfied with his work ethic and how he has not been putting in the time to try to become a successful NFL player. Publicly, that was debunked by a lot of the current Cowboys coaches saying, no, he's been great. He's working out. He's doing everything that we want him to do. I don't know where this is coming from, blah, blah, blah. And then Blue starts turning it on to the point where he's working the first team offense. The latest twist is a twisted ankle. And we don't know how significant that injury is right now. So taking all that into mind and this lovely Jaden Blue showcase from Austin to Dallas, Longhorn to Cowboy, the total number of yards Jaden Blue will gain in 2025. We're going to exclude, and I don't even know if he's in the running for any punt or kick returns.
It's going to be my question.
Yeah, we're going to exclude that. This is purely receiving yards and rushing yards combined. What is that number going to be, sir?
This is tough because Blue is my most rostered rookie in rookie drafts, just because he wasn't free, but he was pretty free. And that's what I like to bet on. And I love 3rd round picks in rookie drafts. That's like, just all the 3rd round picks. I love it. I'm going to say like 450 yards.
Whoa, hold on. 450 total yards for Jaden Blue this year?
Yeah. I don't think we should be
Oh
that
my-
excited.
Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. You are in no danger of overbidding on this.
Oh, no. Yeah. I think, yeah.
This is okay. Well, we need to expand this conversation now. So Jaden Blue, you're going to say 450 total yards. Does this mean you're bullish on Miles Sanders and or Javonte Williams?
No, it means I'm not bullish on any of them. I think they're all probably going to disappoint us. Let's see. I have him for that. Okay. So I did say it probably a little short. I have him for about 400 rushing yards and about 275 passing yards.
So
not
Shea,
passing, receiving.
Receiving. So you're looking at 675 total yards here.
I would take the under of that though. I think because this was before the injury news.
Right.
We don't know how bad it's going to be. It's more of, I think it's just going to be disgusting there, and it's very possible that no one's going to be worth anything at the running back position at Dallas. Maybe it's just going to be the passers or the pass catchers.
So in that regard, does that mean you are gobbling up CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Jake Ferguson?
Yeah. Less so Jake Ferguson. No, I think Jake Ferguson actually is probably more interesting than he was last year. I think he's probably fallen too far. But yeah, I really like Pickens, and how do you not love CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, I do too. And like I had a guy, actually my intern I might have mentioned this on the show already, not tonight, but in a previous week. My intern that's working with me at my local radio station, I was on the clock in a slow draft in the first round, like mid-first or whatever. CeeDee Lamb was still out there. He's like, no, don't take him. You got George Pickens. And I'm like, I don't think the Cowboys traded for George Pickens so he could take away touches from CeeDee Lamb. It's a supplemental thing. So I am down for CeeDee Lamb for sure this year. Pickens I'm starting to warm up to as well. I should mention this about Ferguson. Todd Archer from ESPN also reported that Ferguson suffered an injury today. He was down a little bit after he was hit by Kenneth Murray, the linebacker. I don't know any more on the Ferguson injury, so we'll be monitoring that situation as well as we go forward here. All right, back to the game. Here is a fun one. Travis Cornelius Hunter. I don't know if that's his middle name, but we're going to call him that. A player that we have not seen ever in the NFL, at least in modern day. A player that is going to be playing corner and wide receiver in his first preseason game against Pittsburgh. Liam Cohen, the head coach, said that all the starters are going to be playing, but he didn't say for how long. Hunter, as you might imagine, or as you remember, I should say, was drafted as the number 2 overall pick after Jacksonville gave up a king's ransom to get up there to select him. He could play corner. He could play wide receiver, and they are going to do that for him in Jacksonville this year. Now, how much corner is he going to play? How much wide receiver is he going to play? I don't know. Cohen recently said that he thinks Travis Hunter is going to be playing 80% of the offensive snaps this year. And that'd be awesome if that happens for anybody who drafted Travis Hunter early, anybody who's continuing to draft Travis Hunter right now. We are going to get our first look at him this weekend in a Jaguars uniform, both on offense and defense, and we'll see what happens there. Now, I have to ask you here as part of the game, what is the number you would bid as far as Travis Hunter finishing among wide receivers in total fantasy points this year? PPR points, obviously. What is that number? How are you bidding on Travis Hunter here, Dr. Korff?
Yeah. And there's no IDP scoring. It's just
there is none. No special teams, no IDP. We are purely, I guess, I mean, like, okay, if he does return, is he in any, is there any chance that he return any kicks this year?
No, you can't. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess you could get like pick 6, right?
FFPC has action scoring. So if he does get a pick 6 or a scoop and score, yes, he will get points for that. He will get points for punt and kick returning as well. So I guess that, yes, let's lump all that in. I don't know how big the special teams is with Travis Hunter. My God, they're going to kill this guy if they.
Yeah, he'd die. Yeah. Don't do that.
So Travis Hunter, bid on this, the spot that he finishes among wide receivers this year in PPR points.
If it's purely PPR and no IDP, I am not very excited to draft Travis Hunter this year because I think
even with Liam Cohen saying he's playing 80% of the snaps on offense.
Yeah, but if he's playing 80% of the snaps there and then he's playing 60% of the snaps on defense or something, like, I mean, that's just, you got to be tired, right? Like, you just have to be. It's just, I had to explain it to my developers that, yeah, he's playing both sides of the ball. And they're like, people do that? I'm like, not since 1962. And then I sent them the Wikipedia of I can't remember his name now. 1962 was the last time. And because we have to change our system to a lot for his offense and defense. It's a whole thing. It's a real hassle. But I am not excited for him. Yeah, Chuck
Bednarik for the Eagles.
Yeah. That was the last time it was, really relevant. I think like wide receiver 26. Like I am not drafting him if there is no IDP scoring.
Okay, so wide receiver 26. And I'm going to say this right now. Travis Hunter is being drafted as wide receiver 32.
Okay, well then maybe I love him.
So then, yeah. So then at that point, when it comes to your pick in the mid-6th round, you would be looking at Travis Hunter there.
I guess I would. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's interesting because, and maybe I framed the question. People, I didn't want to make it seem like FFPC players are just falling all over themselves trying to draft this guy as early as they can. I think in Dynasty that was the case, but not necessarily in redraft here. He's actually going right behind fellow rookie Caleb Johnson in the Big Gorilla over the last 2 days. Okay, a rookie last year. He's kind of a rookie this year. We have had I don't want to say a roller coaster with J.J. McCarthy, but this was a guy that was a top 10 pick last year, a player that Minnesota was very excited about. Fantasy owners were very excited about him as well. And then he has the knee surgery. He's out for the season, and Sam Darnold goes supernova for the Vikings last year. McCarthy has been the plan for the Vikings all offseason. It sure seems like they could have signed Aaron Rodgers. They chose not to. They could have traded for Kirk Cousins. They chose not to. It seems like it is ride or die with J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings this year. A lot of positive reports coming out of Minnesota. However, I know Colin Cowherd and Diana Rossini got into it the other day, that Cowherd believes that the Vikings – that the stuff that's getting out about McCarthy is not true and that he's really been struggling. Now, I don't know what he bases that on. Diana Rossini actually fought back a little bit on that. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen with McCarthy this year. However, I do know he is going to have Justin Jefferson. He is going to have Jordan Addison, except for 3 games. He will have him as his number 2 wide receiver. He's also going to have Pro Bowler TJ Hawkinson at tight end and one of the best pass catchers as a running back in the NFL, and Aaron Jones. Jordan Mason will help him with the ground game there as well. The offensive line for Minnesota is significantly better in 2025 than it was last year, but he is a bit of a wild card. We don't know what to expect from him. His ADP went from outside of the top 30 for quarterbacks to now sometimes being drafted in the top 12, which I wouldn't recommend, but I've seen people do it. So the question here on this J.J. McCarthy showcase for you, Alex, what are you bidding on the spot that McCarthy will rank among quarterbacks in total fantasy points at the end of this season?
I'm gonna say right dead in the middle, QB 16. We just don't know, and I think he has enough weapons and in the right spot that he could be great, but he also just could be terrible. What if he isn't ready? What if those reports or that the reporting that he wasn't doing well in camp are correct? So he was my most rostered quarterback last year in best ball. That didn't go great for me. Go up until his injury. Then I obviously stopped drafting him, and then switched to Bo Nix. So that worked out. But I think he's interesting. But I'm not going crazy. I would not take him 12. I wouldn't really even probably take him at 16. I think he has the chance to finish 16 pretty reasonably. That's probably the most likely outcome for me.
And he is being drafted as quarterback 17 right now in the FFPC Big Gorilla. 1406 is what you have to soak to get him on your squad. He is going after Drake May, after Justin Herbert, after Jared Goff, but before Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud, and Trevor Lawrence. How many McCarthy and Love stacks do you have this year at quarterback?
I plead the fifth. There's more. It's Love and McCarthy. I definitely have them, and I feel dirty doing it. I'm just like, I don't think they want to be on the same team. Like, I think they actually don't want this, but I think it's actually a great process to have those guys because that means you just load it up early.
There's so many quarterbacks I like this year, and McCarthy's one of them. Love is obviously one of them. Stroud, maybe not so much. Maybe earlier in the offseason, I liked him, but not so much anymore. Trevor Lawrence, I still like. I'm a believer in Liam Cohen. I think you can get him late. Penix, you can get late as well. Bryce Young, super late. Good news on Matthew Stafford. It sounds like the plan is for him to practice on Monday, so that's good as well. And then the unknown in Cam Ward. I've been drafting Geno Smith late as my quarterback 3 in a few best balls as well. I can definitely get on board for that. So even if you miss on quarterback this year, fear not. There's a lot of room for error, and you can get some of these other quarterbacks late that should help you out. Okay. Speaking of quarterbacks going late, that probably will not help you out. We have to make sense of this because I think not so much for Russell Wilson and Tyler Shook. I want to know your take on these players because it's going to affect guys like Malik Neighbors, Chris Olave, so on and so forth. So for The Price is Right, Alex Korff edition, Russell Wilson was signed as to be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants this year from the Pittsburgh Steelers. What are you bidding on for how many starts he makes this season? This is an NFL question, which means we have 18 or 17 games in over 18 weeks. So out of 17 games that the Giants will play this year, Alex, how many of those games does Russell Wilson start?
So the number that I have him projected for is 12 right now. That is the thought process. Draft Sharks was these guys. I mean, if they don't, the coaching staff's out, right? Like if it doesn't go well this year, they're gone probably. So either he does well and they stay and he does the whole season, or at about 12 they go, okay, well let's see what we got in the rookie. They probably have fired their coaching staff and they have an interim head coach, and then we figured that was about week 12 by like doing some back of the envelope. Let's look at their schedule, look at who they're playing. That we think they're going to be 2-10 at this point, so it's probably time to make a change. So 12 was the number that we came up with.
Okay, so that's 2/3 of the season, and it sounds like when you say 12, it sounds like it's going to be the first 12 games, right?
The first 12. Yeah, sorry.
Right, which I didn't specify, but I wanted to specify with you now. So if that's the case, what does that do for guys like Malik Neighbors? What does that like Wan'Dale Robinson? Maybe it doesn't really matter who his quarterback is because he just runs 3 yards, turns around, and catches the ball. But Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, Theo Johnson, a player that, and Steven Yergalos was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still here, but Steven Yergalos and I have been in a lot of KFFSC leagues together, and that dude is always taking Theo Johnson before I can take him. But that is an interesting tight end this year as well for fantasy football. He's on the Giants. The fact that you guys have set it at 12 games, is that good? I mean, is this a significant upgrade for these other Giants pass catchers that you view Russell Wilson throwing to them, for the better part of September, October, and November?
Yeah. So it doesn't make me interested in their tertiary pass catchers, the side pass catchers, unless I do have Malik Neighbors, and then I am targeting Russell Wilson for the stack, and then I do want Theo Johnson, and then one other. But if I don't have Malik Neighbors, I have no interest in any other Giants player besides Tyrone Tracy, I guess. But that's not what
right.
I have no other pass catchers, right? Like I'm not interested in any of them. Unless I can build those stacks in best ball. And then I am grabbing Russell Wilson in a lot of places because I think he is probably undervalued. I think we're probably over projecting him compared to the market for starts.
FFPC tight end premium leagues. If you had to draft another Giants pass catcher not named Tyrone Tracy or Malik Neighbors, would it be Theo Johnson?
Yeah, I think and any sort of tight end premium for sure. Because I think that upside, I mean, what I want to look like, I mean, Andrew Cooper did the anatomy of a tight end, or he maybe had a better name for it. I don't remember. He's good at coming up with good names. But really, you want a guy who has the chance to be the number 1 or the number 2 pass catcher on their team. Theo Johnson easily could be that. Like there's few teams that, like, if you just sit down and look like, okay, yeah, that's their 1, who's their 2, and we just don't know who. So why not look at one that could be that tight end?
As Adam Levitan would say, shout out Penn State for Theo Johnson this year. I'm a big fan of his as well. This I guess is the showcase showdown. You've made it this far. You've gotten nothing but correct answers. That's the beauty of playing these game shows on Insider Access, is whoever is co-hosting with me always wins. So spoiler alert, you're going to win this game as well because every bid has been correct so far. There's Steve chiming in with hashtag Theo Johnson. I knew he was still in here. Tyler S.H.A.R.K, same question here. How many starts does he make this year? The reports on him is that he's been fairly conservative in practice, not pumping the ball down the field, where Spencer Rattler has actually kind of been showing out. Spencer Rattler in his second year. A lot of people don't remember this, but because there were so many quarterbacks drafted at the top end of the 2024 NFL draft, you had Caleb Williams, you had Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix, and then you had J.J. McCarthy, and then Bo Nix. The next quarterback drafted after Bo Nix was picked at like 12 or 16 or whatever it was Spencer Rattler on day 3, which is crazy. And he showed out last year. I don't want to say showed out, but he definitely played more than I think the Saints wanted him to last year. And he's been showing out in training camp so far, connecting with Olave, Shaheed, a lot of the Saints' good offensive notes coming out of training camp have been with Spencer Rattler under center. So I have to ask you, even though this dude was a second-round pick, even though he's not a young man anymore, like very experienced football player coming out of Louisville, what are you bidding in the Showcase Showdown here? What is your final bid on how many starts Tyler S.H.A.R.K makes this year for the New Orleans Saints?
So, looking at it, my current projections have 12 for Tyler and 5 for Spencer Rattler, but the first unofficial depth chart was released 2 days ago by Saints Wire, and they have Spencer Rattler as the QB1.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that and still didn't change, probably because it didn't affirm my prior, so I just ignored it. I guess I wanted to see really if the drumbeat really changed as we got closer. I would say 12 right now, but it's probably my least confident answer that we've had all night, because it just could be anything. They could do anything there, and then it could be a 3-way split. They could get Hayner involved too somehow.
Yeah,
like it could be just disgusting.
The Saints don't seem to treat the salary cap as a real thing. Would they ever consider trading for Kirk Cousins? I guess it's an interdivisional trade, so maybe that's not likely.
Yeah, but maybe they know that it'll make the cap so much worse for them. Maybe they will do it. We see it as a poison pill or something. Yeah.
All right, so there you go. We have the Price is Right, Alex Korff edition, wrapping up here on Insider Access on the Better Sports Network. Congratulations, Alex! You have won. I don't know, Tyler S.H.A.R.K. We got to come up with a better prize than that. But a lot of good stuff from you on this as well, as we will glean that information and take it to a tangible asset, which is the website known as myffpc.com, the Fantasy Football Players Championship, where you can trade away certain of these players in dynasty leagues. You can pick up a dynasty startup right now. They're going to be going throughout the rest of this month. myffpc.com is where to go. Entry fees start at $100. They go up to $5,000, 2,000 plus leagues in over 15 years. None have ever folded. Once you sign up for an FFPC Dynasty League, you are in it for as long as you want to be. myffpc.com is where to go. myffpc.com. We do have another score on Thursday Night Football in that Ravens-Colts game. It's a running back. I'm going to tell you who scored when we come back and talk about the Draft Sharks S.H.A.R.K rookie model, which is very intriguing. Obviously, this is really good for rookie drafts, but it's also equally as important in your FFPC redraft and best ball leagues as well. Alex Korff helped develop this. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the players that are standing out in it and what the results have been with the S.H.A.R.K model over the past few years. Alex Korff from Draft Sharks joining me live here on Insider Access on the Better Sports Network. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. We have more right after this.
What's up, guys? Andrew Cooper here, Fantasy Alarm. And boy, do I have great news for you. It's that time of year. The FFPC main event is open. The flagship contest, in my opinion, the biggest #1 contest in all of fantasy football. It's not just about the prizes. You can win $1 million, but if you win a contest like this, you are gold-plated, gold-stamped in this community. That puts respect on your name when you go in there with the big dogs and you win a tournament like this. So Get set up with my FFPC now. When you use promo code ALARM, they'll give you $25 when you deposit $35 or more if you've never drafted there before. And you can get in there with the big dogs. If you really want, you can actually go to Vegas and draft at the Paris Casino live in these contests. You don't have to do that, though. You can draft online. They have 6-hour, 2-hour, and 60-second clocks, depending on what you're feeling. You're going to want to draft early and often in these to give yourself the best possible shot at winning. And let me tell you, when you go over to your social media bio and you throw FFPC main event champion in there, people start thinking about you at a different way. You are now an absolute champion and legend in this community if you win the FFPC main event. Open now over at myffpc.com.
FFPC Insider Access rolls on here on the Better Sports Network for Fantasy Football Night in America. About 24 minutes to go in the show. So glad that you're joining us tonight. I'm Eric Balkman. He's Alex Korff from Draft.Sharks. I teased it before the break. I said that we had another score in that Ravens-Colts game. Rasheen Ali. Yeah, you remember that dude? Rasheen Ali gets into the end zone tonight on a 2-yard scamper. Tyler Loop has now kicked 3 extra points on the night. Ali in the end zone. It is 21-9. Indianapolis trailing the Ravens. Spencer Schrader has kicked a 53-yard, a 33-yard, and a 39-yard field goal so far tonight in that game. Over to that Bengals-Eagles game. The Eagles have notched a field goal. It's Jake Elliott for 44 yards out, and it is still 14-10 in that game. Will Shipley up to 48 rushing yards. Tanner McKee for the Eagles, 7 of 8 for 112 yards in that game as well. Alex Korff works for Draft.Sharks. You can follow Draft.Sharks on the X at Draft.Sharks. Alex is at peaked in HS_FF on X. And a guy who peaked in high school, dude, could not have come up with the S.H.A.R.K model, the S.H.A.R.K rookie model that you guys utilize for Draft.Sharks. I've had Jared on this show, Jared Small. I've had Matt Schauf on this show. And we have not, Shane Hallam obviously as well. We have not talked about the S.H.A.R.K rookie model. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it is? And then I want to get into how it was developed as well. But the S.H.A.R.K rookie model that Draft.Sharks features, it's an industry exclusive thing that you guys have over at Draft.Sharks. What is the S.H.A.R.K rookie model?
Yeah, so really what I do particularly well is understand my limitations. And one of my limitations is that I am not a scout. It's just not what I do. That's just not what I grew up on. I'm good at math. I'm good at numbers. So what I did is I tried to make a rookie model that incorporates more components than what some others do, where it's just looking at analytics or just looking at one factor. So I try and do it all. So the S in the S.H.A.R.K model stands for scouting. And that means that I actually will aggregate film scores from other people that I trust and then validate those scores year over year versus output to weigh them differently. So I aggregate those film scores as part of that scouting process and then rate the players and then compare those versus their actual historical production in college. So that's the H. The A is their athleticism. And then the R is their... What is their R? I don't remember. I wrote I made the model and I was like, what should I call it? And and then I named it based on all of that. The R would be.
I'm looking it up right now myself.
Yeah.
I looked at it earlier today. And I was like, I tried to memorize it. I'm like, that's not
Man,
it.
I even wrote it. What am I doing?
Well, the thing is, when you have to come up with a cute acronym, it's not easy to remember, right? All right.
R, draft capital, relative
draft capital, exactly.
Yeah. And then K is kappa. So kappa is actually a statistical term where it's the agreement factors between all of those. So each of those fields, the film scores, the athleticism, the production, draft capital, all of those have different weights in the model, and how those agree that number is the agreement factor, the kappa. So if a player is really, really good and everyone agrees, then they have a high kappa, and we like that. Some players, Anthony Richardson had the lowest kappa because his scouting was so mixed that not everyone agreed on his film. He had the best athleticism of any quarterback that was ever measured. And then his production didn't exist because he started 12 games or something in college. So his kappa was actually basically 0. I was just like, so he'll either be amazing or he'll be absolutely nothing. There's no in between.
Okay.
So that's what that model does. So what it does is it allows us to kind of separately look at players that analysts like on film, or that pop in particular from a production standpoint, like if you look at the historical output, or draft capital, or athleticism. So like there's really that 4 pillars, and then we can compare them. And it allows us to look at a lot of different ways, and then look at maybe some places where any of those 4 pillars disagree is really the interesting points.
And you have, like, I was looking at it earlier. There's like you rate it's at the correlation, like high correlation, medium, or risk that it's not at. I guess like the thing that I want to ask about is if, and maybe you alluded to this already, if one of these things does not match up with the other, the model allows for that. So you can look at it as a whole, like as an aggregate, or you can look at it like, okay, well, here's one aspect that doesn't necessarily match up with what we're seeing in the other categories of the S.H.A.R.K.
And then it gets flagged, and then I'll want to go look and see, well, what's like, so Anthony Richardson, I was like, okay, why is it so low? And then I like dug in and it was like, oh gosh, okay, it should be low. His cap should be low because we don't know anything about this dude. So it's each of these can almost be used as like a flag, or of like, hey, why is it weird? Why is it doing this? But at the end of the day, you still get an overall score, how kind of the whole and all-encompassing model feels about that player. But then being able to, you can even on the model, on the tool, you can sort by film, analytics, production, athleticism, just to get an idea of who is crazy or who's particularly good at one thing.
And you can obviously, you'll know, like, okay, well, obviously Anthony Richardson, his A in the S.H.A.R.K model, that's going to be super high. Like there's no surprise there. And then historical performance for Richardson. I like how we just keep going back to Richardson. It's the Anthony Richardson show tonight. Should have made him the thumbnail. The historical performance, to your point with Richardson, we knew it was going to be low because there just wasn't a whole lot of a sample size to look at when it comes to that. When you talk about developing this, was this your idea? Was this something Draft Sharks tasked you with? Or was this like an amalgamation of, like, I know Shane Hallam has got a really good dynasty eye, really good dynasty brain when it comes to stuff like this. Was this something that you guys all worked on and then you compile, or how did this come together?
I started working for Draft Sharks in 2023, but I had been working on this model for a while beforehand when I was an engineer in a past life also. And I would do this stuff on the side. So I had been working on it and validating it against historical results. So it was all once I got to Draft Sharks, I was able to build an even bigger data set and utilize their developers, our developers, I guess, and just get the team more involved. And Jared and Matt and all of those guys were able to help kind of understand some of the facets of the game that maybe I didn't know quite as well as those guys. Because those guys they've been doing, Jared's been fantasy football analyst since 2008 or something. Like since forever. Even though he looks like he's 12, he's actually much older than you think. So yeah, it really was. It was all of us, but it's been something I've been working on and trying to, and it gets smarter every year. One of the things that I'm going to add next year is correcting for pass blocking or for more blocking for tight ends. I think that's underweighted in the model currently. I think where they line up isn't being weighted enough. So changing some of those production metrics a little bit and getting more into the weeds on the production side, getting a little more nuance to see which fields or which metrics have the most weight for predictive results. But any model is only as good as the data that you can collect and then use to validate it. So was really the key.
So when it comes to that, do you have to add another letter to the acronym then?
No, I'll just update the values a little bit and just explain how the production metric is calculated a little bit more, because a lot of it the goal was to try and make it very digestible, like athleticism 0 to 10, college production 0 to 10. But like, what does that really mean? That's the nuance that people just won't be able to see. But with that much data, it's hard to see it all anyway.
Right. Okay. Interesting stuff there. So when you look at the hits on this, or maybe the misses, what did the S.H.A.R.K model get right over the past few years since it's been in existence?
Yeah, so one of my favorite fields that I'll look at in particular are what I call a better on film score. So I'll look for players that scored significantly higher on film than they maybe did on draft capital or everything else combined. And then I'll go, why? And then a lot of the time that flag seems to hit really high. So some guys over the past couple of years that scored better on film than they did in all the other metrics: Tyrone Tracy, Ray Davis, Jonathan Brooks, rest in peace, Bucky Irving. Those are some of the hits, I would say, that really that scored better on film. So in particular on wide receiver, I'll look at those. The model loved Josh Downs, so much so that Jared was like, why is this guy in your top 12 wide receivers when we were doing rookie wide receiver rankings? I'm like, oh, the model loves him. I actually don't know anything about him. And I didn't realize he was 120 pounds or whatever. I mean, he's bigger than that, but Josh Downs was one that I really loved, but some other wide receivers that really popped on the better on film score. Players like, let's see here. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He scored significantly better on film than he did on draft capital or anything else. Wan'Dale Robinson also popped. I don't know that counts as a win. Demario Douglas is probably why I love him so much. Let's see. The better on film is the one that really I look for and kind of Puka Nacua. That he's easily the biggest hit. And then Romeo Doubs. I was way in on him his rookie year because he scored so much better on the film score than everywhere else that I was just like, I think he was underdrafted, which he was.
I think you can count Wan'Dale Robinson as a win because that dude has outperformed his ADP, like where people are taking him. Yes, he's not a league winner, but he certainly helps you stay afloat. He puts up points every single week. So there's something to be said for Wan'Dale Robinson there. What I don't want you to give away everything here, but when you look at the S.H.A.R.K model for this year's rookies, can you point out one or maybe even two players that really have stood out here as potential guys that you want to get, not only in your rookie dynasty drafts, which most of them have already happened, but startup dynasties and then redraft leagues coming up here as well?
So looking at it, the 2025 guys that were particularly interesting. I liked Tootin, scored really well, above even still where he's going. Taj Brooks was really interesting to me. Trevor Etienne had some things on his profile that made me look at it, but I don't think he actually is going to be that interesting. Jaden Blue, because the scouting reports were so kind of mixed. Some guys really loved him, but most people were kind of like overall. And then Ollie Gordon, the second. I don't know that the second's that important, but Ollie Gordon, the Miami one, he was really interesting. And then at wide receiver, let me sort real quick.
That Ollie Gordon name that's interesting. That the model liked him. Okay. Because if it was up to Tyreek Hill, Ollie Gordon would be out there for every short yardage carry the Dolphins get this year.
Yeah, I saw that report and was like, because Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon are two of my most rostered handcuff running backs. I think they're just both very interesting. But some wide receivers that I do think are interesting. Dante Thornton, just like he has so much news right now. Isaiah Tesla. I don't think it's actually spelled Tesla. I know it's different, but the Detroit guy.
T-Sla or whatever
T-Sla,
it is. Yeah.
And then Torrey Horton.
Horton has been burning up ADP boards lately too. He's running with the ones. It's weird because it's almost as if this S.H.A.R.K model for a lot of these players kind of predicted these guys would stand out in training camp in the preseason, which is happening right now especially with Horton for sure. And that's a player that I think we have to seriously look at because what he does best, he probably does better than Jackson Smith and Jigba, and he definitely does it better than Cooper Kupp. So the deep ball game for Torrey Horton on that Seattle offense this year, he's going to have a role as a rookie. And will that role grow if Cooper Kupp is confirmed as dust? Probably. Maybe a player you want to be in business with.
But I would say the number one most interesting one is actually Elijah Arroyo, the tight end there. The model, so some of it was, I don't think he tested, so we had to estimate some of his athletic. But he should be just a freak, is what we kind of thought. But he's very interesting, and probably one of the most rostered tight ends in Dynasty that I have, just because I was so much higher than him than everyone else.
The Elijah Arroyo hype, I can't say it as good as Matt Schauf does, but it has gone crazy right now. I maybe it hasn't been gone crazy because we still are of the opinion that this guy is a rookie. He is going to have at least 3 targets ahead of him, maybe more. But tight end premium, you want to get him late. Arroyo is a guy you want to look at. If you want to explore the Shark model more, get a subscription to DraftSharks.com, your unfair advantage, and check out Alex Korff's baby here, which is evolving. Scouting, historical performance, athleticism, relative draft capital, and Kappa are the 5 pillars, the planeteers of the Captain Planet Shark model here over at DraftSharks.com. Check it out. Really going to help you for rookie drafts, and it's still going to help you in redraft leagues here going forward. Now, we do have a few minutes left, and I wanted to explore a few things that we didn't get to in the first segment here, if we can go back to that. We already talked about Anthony Richardson, Shane Steichen saying he's going to start the team's first preseason game tonight. Daniel Jones starting the second. Jones got into this game a little bit earlier because Richardson left with a finger injury. You talked about how you had just drafted Richardson today. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you've been handling Richardson versus Jones, not only in drafting those quarterbacks, but in drafting Colts receivers? Because I think, you could look at it that one of these quarterbacks is going to be better for those receivers than the other one.
Yeah, So my process was that Anthony Richardson is the most interesting at the quarterback position. That if he is the starter, he is worth starting at the quarterback position probably. If he is the starter, the wide receivers probably are not overly worth starting really. And Jonathan Taylor even gets a little bit less interesting, a little bit. So if Daniel Jones is the quarterback, I don't think he's very good. I don't think their team is going to be very good. I don't think he's probably worth really having any exposure to. I mean, in best ball, you would just have to still, but it would be more. I would be more interested in the pass catchers if it's Daniel Jones. But I think we kind of know what Daniel Jones is, and it's that he's not very good. Whereas I guess we can still have hope for Anthony Richardson, and I just like being able to have hope.
Yes. And it's more fun to draft them, right? It's just more fun. Like fantasy football, I always say this. It's supposed to be fun. Have some fun. I've taken Anthony Richardson in a couple of best balls. Will that pay off? I don't know. What did pay off for the Eagles tonight? Another touchdown for Philly as they have taken the lead. 1 minute, 27 seconds to go in the first half. It was, of course, Tanner McKee to Aeneas Smith. That was the touchdown. Jake Elliott adds the extra point. Aeneas Smith scores on a 6-yard touchdown pass from Tanner McKee. McKee now has 1 touchdown rushing, 1 touchdown throwing. 17-14 Eagles over the Bengals. They have moved to the second half for the Colts and Ravens in Baltimore. Baltimore still holding that 21-9 lead. And it looks like Riley Leonard, the rookie quarterback from Notre Dame, is in at quarterback for Daniel Jones. Speaking of quarterbacks, let's get to Matthew Stafford here. And I think I thought going to be a nefarious conversation that we were going to have about Matthew Stafford tonight. Turns out to be, I think, somewhat muted. The Rams apparently not worried about Matthew Stafford's back for the upcoming season. Jordan Rodriguez from The Athletic reported on this. Her report on The Athletic said that the Rams plan to put Stafford on a modified workout plan in training camp even before this back thing happened. So he was never going to be working out as much as the rest of the players were in training camp, even before this. It looks like the Rams were prepared to have Jimmy Garoppolo run the offense occasionally during training camp, which makes sense. Stafford and the Rams agreed on spine specialist Dr. Robert Watkins' diagnosis on how to treat this back injury. Alaric Jackson and Kevin Dotson, who are the starting left tackle and right guard for the Rams, still not practicing. So it's a bit of a concern for the Rams right now. We want to follow that, given that Matthew Stafford isn't exactly Michael Vick in the pocket. You want to make sure that that his back is going to be healthy enough to move around when he can. I was down on Nakua. I was down on Devontae Adams. The fact that the Rams have publicly said that they're not worried, the fact that Matthew Stafford is going to have a workout on Saturday and potentially could be practicing on Monday. I'm starting to get the warm fuzzies about Adams and Nakua here. It's still a back, which is tricky, Alex, but I think I'm warming up back to the Rams passing attack here.
I think if he practices Monday, I will start warming up, but I'm not there. I'm starting to get pretty concerned, or at least I was until honestly the positivity that you shared just now.
Right.
I was pretty concerned, starting to be very concerned, because I don't really want Jimmy Garoppolo throw into my first round pick, or my third or fourth round pick for Adams.
Third or fourth, yeah.
Like he's not free. He's very expensive, and
he's honestly, at that 3-4 turn right now. 3-12, 401, wide receiver 17. Go ahead.
Yeah. So like if we see him Monday and we start getting more news, then I will be open to it. But right now, I'm still I guess my flags are up, and I'm concerned.
I guess you're right. Like I'm starting to warm up to it, but I should say if he does not practice on Monday, I'm still going to have that same level of concern. I think once my eyes see it and I see him out on the practice field, then I'm like, okay, I think it's going to be all right. NFL.com reported yesterday that Darren Waller is a week away from practicing with the Dolphins. This, according to head coach Mike McDaniel. He came out of retirement and a burgeoning / scuffling rap career to join the Miami Dolphins, and he's coming back to the field here shortly. 32 years old. He's on the PUP list. He's obviously going to be in competition for the starting tight end spot in Miami, which, let's face it, is not a huge competition. That is a low bar to jump over in Miami right now. I think a lot of people would say, Balky, why do you even bring up Darren Waller? This guy didn't play football last year. He's been retired. Well, he's tight end 26 at the 1609, a guy who's already done it at the highest level in the NFL. He's given us some pretty good fantasy seasons in tight end premium formats, and his price is basically a 16th or 17th round pick. Is there something here, Alex? I've drafted him once. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like there's something there just by circumstance alone. What's your take on what to do with Darren Waller late in a tight end premium best ball draft?
So I think the only reason I don't have more of him is the way that I've built my teams. Is by the time I'm ready to grab him, I don't want to have too many tight ends, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's a balance. And so I think he is so fairly valued that I don't get to his part of the draft when I need a third tight end. That's been my problem. I like him. I mean, it's hard to believe that he's only 32. I thought he was like 37, but
right.
32.
Well, he had those substance abuse issues like earlier in his career that he was dealing with. So he is like a young 32 essentially.
Yeah, he doesn't have the tread on the tires, and he made the conversion from wide receiver. So like in the scheme of things, I think at a tight end 26 price, how many tight ends have top back end 12 upside at 26? It's not that many, right? Like it's interesting. But I think the Dolphins probably aren't going to be very good again this year. They don't have a very good offensive line, and he is 32. So maybe I'm just going to have my heart broken.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, he's going so late that it doesn't really affect your teams all that much. If he gets if he slips up and doesn't come through for you in fantasy. A guy who always comes through for us in fantasy is Alex Korff. You follow him on the X at PeakedInHS_FF. Check out his work at DraftSharks.com. Is that like, I know you are a behind the scenes guy with Draft Sharks, but I always like picking your brain. Tell the listeners and viewers what you're doing now for Draft Sharks, not only during the season, but the off season as well.
Yeah. So I'm their product manager. So I help basically make all of the tools, make sure that they're hopefully doing their stuff. So if something's not working, it's probably my fault, and I am sorry, but I am trying my best. So all the algorithms, all the math, our new keeper tool, the S.H.A.R.K model, all of those, my fingerprints are in. And then really the goal is to help make Jared, Matt, and Shane, and then Kevin's life easier and build them whatever tools they need, get them all the information they need to make their jobs even better. So in season, I help do the projections a little bit, but it's mostly Jared. And then I try to get out of their way and help as much as I can.
Yeah, the award-winning projections done in part by Alex Korff. I know Kevin English Just what did he win for most accurate ranker
Most
last
accurate.
year for fantasy
Yep.
pros? Jared Smola has been among the best rankers, most accurate rankers over the last 3 or 4 seasons there. So you are getting an unfair advantage when you subscribe to DraftSharks.com. We will be back next Thursday, 7 o'clock. Yahoo Fantasy's Justin Boone will join me to talk about his pros versus Joe's draft and everything else going around the NFL. That's going to be fun. Check out myffpc.com for the Big Gorilla Tournament, the main event, the best ball and Superflex best ball tournaments, and of course, Dynasty Leagues available now at myffpc.com. Alex, this was fun. I'm sure we'll do it again. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, and enjoy your weekend, dude.
You too.
For our producer, Matt Deutsch, for Draft Sharks' own Alex Korff, I'm Eric Balkman. This has been FFPC Insider Access on the Better Sports Network. We'll talk with you again next week.